to the This Is Metal Show. I am Jason JayRock Houston, and my co-host as always is Tom Collier, the president of Fire Rock Music Group, and of course, founding member guitarist of the band Held Hostage out of New York. And our guest today is Tom Mathers from Perris Records.
Yeah, this is Tom Mathers of Perris Records, the band Cherry Street, and RockNation. And this is the Metal Show.
That's right, Tom. And we're talking to Tom Mathers. He's a mutual friend of mine and Tom Collier's. We've known Tom many years, and I wanted to have him on because he's been celebrating this year the 30th anniversary of Perris Records. Perris Records. I got two quick questions for you, Tom. Of course, anybody knows your story knows Perris Records was launched because you were initially in the band Cherry Street, as you said, and you did it to kind of get the band going. My question was, you guys are one of the first, probably the first successful mail order, record companies. And were you surprised how fast it took off?
Oh, totally, man. It's like just by placing like a small ad in. I actually did it when Cherry Street was together. When I did some ads in Metal Edge and Rip magazine, and I did the third page. They called it a strip ad. It was like up and down as vertical. And I did some bands, like the band that everybody knows is Lit. They were called Razzle, same four guys, Jeremy and AJ brothers. And they did some ads with us and other bands. And it was called Monroe Promotions. So I started out doing that and basically just started selling tons and tons of merch. Back then there was no CDs, it was all cassettes, T-shirts.
Back in the day, yeah.
Photos. Back in the day, nobody had CDs back then. And then, of course, once we got Perris Records going, then we started doing bigger ads and stuff, but Perris Records came in later. During Cherry Street, I actually did it for a few years as Monroe Promotions.
Okay.
Worked with various bands. That's how it kind of started. Before it turned into, once the band broke up, then I kind of, the band put out the first CD on Perris and we got signed to JRS, BMG. And then once the band broke up, then I went Perris Records full-time around 94. And that's kind of how I started doing major ads and stuck to Metal Edge. Metal Edge was like the magazine, it was like killer,
And second question I have is, what was the point when you reached when, Cherry Street wasn't successful would be an understatement. I mean, you guys never reached the level, say, of a Motley Crue, but when did it get to the point of you realized, that the band wasn't going to last, or it was time to break up Cherry Street, but you realized to continue on with the record company, you could be successful promoting other bands? And
well, it kind of was going down, and everything started changing in Hollywood. They had a new mayor in town and he cleaned up the strip. He wouldn't let people flyer, and the whole scene started changing. Even like Gene Lane said it great in his interviews that, they were all over their label. And then one day he walks in, it was Alice in Chains or something, the next band, and everything started changing. But at that time, we just got a deal. So we still went out and toured, and for a little while after that, and got a record out and stuff. But then, things fell apart and the scene changed. So it was kind of like the writing was on the wall because the whole new grunge and flannel, and we had connections at MTV to Carla Diamond. We had KNEC, we had tons of sport. We toured from Florida to Boston to Florida. We did the whole tour with no tour support. We did on our own.
Wow.
But the scene was changing. And after, we broke up, then my dad had heart surgery. So I flew back, driving really fast in my truck because my dad had a heart surgery right away. And so, then I decided, hey man, I'll just hang out for a while. And then I ended up staying up in Michigan for 3 years. So then, people started hitting me up, and then I did a compilation, a couple of them. Ted Poley was on it actually with Kevin Fowler, from Dangerous Toys. And he was the first artist I signed to Perris Records. And, he was in Dangerous Toys, and he's a big country star down here. I just saw him in front of 5,000 people down here. But it exploded. I mean, it just freaking exploded, man. I was doing it was insane. Even though the scene was changing, it was still a label, CMC. And I got bigger with it, Metal Edge magazine, and it exploded where I had, I made like $100,000 out of my bedroom, the first year I did it. I mean, it was insane. Doing orders $5,000 to Japan every week.
Wow.
$10,000 to Germany, and Sweden was a huge company. Mega Rock, they just did just orders. I mean, they're sending me faxes. I had to go buy a fax machine. This is all pre-internet. I
Sure,
didn't have
sure.
a computer, nothing, and just it exploded, man. It was great. It was unbelievable. It was like I started working like just nonstop 7 days a week since then.
Wow.
30
And
years.
it started out of your garage too. I mean, I heard Tom. That's pretty cool to see. 30 years later, you mentioned Metal Edge. They're no longer here, but Perris Records is. To let people know, joining us also just came on is Lethal X. He's the owner of Categories TV. So glad to welcome you, Lethal. Tom Collier, my co-host. You are also a record company president, so I'm sure you have many questions you'd like to ask Mr. Mathers.
Well, absolutely. First of all, congratulations on longevity in this business. I love it.
Thanks,
Love
bro.
the fact that Perris Records has continued on, and you got some great bands on. I mean, Scream Therapy. What a great band you signed them guys. But my question for you is the Rock Nation. I love that you've continued on with that. I mean, I know that like it's had its own TV show and stuff, and you were continuing all plenty of hard copy issues. You do that once a year still? Are you going to still continue with Rock Nation?
Well, basically, when I started out around 2006, is right when my it was kind of sad times. My dad passed away, and I don't know, man, just to deal with it, I couldn't sleep. So I was just working nonstop. I'm basically working 18, 20-hour days back. I was barely sleeping. And I decided that, legacy, man, like my dad was it was insane. So I basically told my wife, I go, I'm going to start a TV show. I'm going to start a magazine, newspaper. She's like, dude, come on, just slow down, but I did it. No label. I mean, other labels, don't want to say their names. They all try to start up magazines and TV shows. And I tried to get a lot of them to come aboard. I had like Roadrunner. I mean, they came aboard right away, and they sent me all the videos, Nickelback. I mean, boatloads of them for the TV show. It was a 30-minute show, and I got it in like nobody ever did this before. I got it in over 250 stations nationwide on Comcast, Time Warner, and I figured out how to do it. And nobody ever did it. It was crazy. I found like people to work with in all these states, and that just blew up. I had a VJs in the East Coast, West Coast. We went to all the shows. I went to Rock and Range and different festivals, and we interviewed everybody from like Rob Halford to Ryan James Dio, just boatloads of new bands like Shinedown. And we did interviews. We played like music videos, and that was crazy. I think we ended up doing over 57 episodes. And then we had the Rock Nation. That just took a whole life on its own because we started out in like 20 or 30 CD stores. Next thing I knew, we had 750 CD stores nationwide, East Coast, West Coast. And it was out bi-monthly because if I would have tried to do it every month, I wouldn't even be alive right now if I tried to tackle that. I had to handle advertising. We had writers, East Coast, West Coast, and just, layout, artwork, and advertising was a lot of work. And we had basically at the end, we had a semi truck, UPS semi truck had to pull up to the newspaper plant, and we had like tables, and because we had to do a 750 CD or boxes and pack 100 magazines in each one or whatever, and ship those out to all the city stores. I had to print out the labels, and I don't even know how I did it. I got a bunch of kidney stones trying to do all that, and so I definitely slowed down after about 2 years, and I do it online now. And the TV show, I just do YouTube stuff like that. But I don't even know how I look back and go, and there's no way. I don't even know how I tackled that. It was crazy. But hey, I did it, And like I said, I did so many things I did.
Later. Yeah.
I did so many things before any labels did. No labels ever accomplished all this stuff.
No.
Never been done before. So it's like, hey, when I look back, it's cool. It's a legacy, and I'm proud of it,
As you should be, my friend. And I believe you told me as far as slowing down, you do now about 3 new releases a year. That's how you do it, and they're always awesome releases. You guys already planning for 2025? What's ahead?
Yeah, right now, good question. I kind of had some more stuff going on, so what I'm going to do is just do, I've had to turn down a bunch of bands. I'm just going to do 1 or 2 releases a year right now, and just part time. I've got to slow down. I'm 63, and I had some health scares. I fell off a freaking ladder in my metal building, and a door came down and hit me in the neck. Could have broke my neck. I was by myself. So I've just, man, wife goes, I'm slowing down. I'm just going to really like just work a couple days a week. But I'm not going to go away.
Yeah.
I've got tons of CDs. I've got all these bands. I've got distribution with Selected family. I'm talking Sun Records. I'm talking Elvis, Johnny Cash. I work with the people that grew up around Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis. Their great uncle was Jerry Lewis's manager.
Sure.
The brother of Sam Phillips. I mean, I got some great people working with me, so I'm not going to be, retiring anytime soon. So, but I'm definitely slowing down.
Good. And I got to share with you guys, we've had today's episode booked, like I booked it about a month ago, and Tom Mathers he said, hey, would you mind doing like a practice session, you and me, so I get an idea what your show's like. And so we did that, and I sent Lethal X the footage of that. And I think that was the time you were telling me, because we were supposed to do like a few days before. Mm-hmm. And that's when you told me about the ladder fell on you. So we're glad that you're able to be here, that you're better. And
I'm still recovering now.
Oh, you, Lethal X, you have any questions for Tom?
No, I was just listening to his story somewhere, and I'm thinking about all the things I've tried to do with our company over the years. The Chaotic Riffs magazine, the This Is Metal show we're doing now. I tried doing a Riff Maniac, heavy metal, like the whole music video thing, trying to get it on cable and stuff, and it's tough. So for you to be able to do what you've done, I give you props for that, because that's definitely something that I've always been trying to do myself, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, is go that direction as well. But I mean, I noticed that you've worked with a lot of bands over the years. Most of them, I think everybody that was on here right now, probably people listening, are actually used to hearing on the radio today, still to some degree. If you had to pick one of those bands that you think that their music inspired you the most, would there be one, or would you have a tough time doing that?
Yeah, that's tough. Plus, I'm bros with all these guys, and for me to pick this one, I don't know, the backlash. It'd be almost like some asking a mom that has 10 kids, okay, who's your favorite? Yeah, I can't do that.
They're all your favorite, right?
Exactly. You like them all the same, and and so that'd be a real tough one. I couldn't go that area.
Yeah. Well, and it's also over the years, everybody's styles probably changed a little bit, and from the way it was, because the industry's changed, and they've kind of been a little bit more flexible and more fluid probably with that. So what they were back then are probably similar still today, but they're probably trying new avenues, I'm imagining.
Yeah, it's totally like everything changes, and some artists I've been working with for 20, 25 years, and then some you'll do one artist, one album and whatever. But it's like, just from being a kid and growing up and being an AC/DC fan, and Ted Nugent, I'm from Michigan. My sister was married to his cousin. My brother-in-law was Warren Nugent, Ted Nugent's cousin. I mean, I grew up on Ted Nugent and AC/DC and Bob Seger. Later in life, fly Derek St. Holmes in from Atlanta, Georgia, into my studio. Jason McMaster's in there. We did bass tracks. And then vocal tracks. And then the next day I had Derek St. Holmes flying for 4 days from Atlanta to sit there and be in the studio, just me and him, 5 feet away. He's doing vocals on 3 CDs I put out. To think that, I was in my, garage, a little kid jamming on Ted Nugent. Here I am with the guy that's saying, "Hey, baby, Stranglehold." My buddy still didn't believe he did it. Like, no way, dude. But a lot of moments like that, and just a lot of, Brian from Helix flying down from Canada after I talked to him for a few times on the phone, and I think Steve from Impulse Music. Everybody remembers Steve up there at Impulse. I think he told him it was him, and so he called me about buying some of his CDs, and I go, "Hey, how'd you like to sing on a CD?" And he's like, "Dude, I don't know, man. I'm Brian from Helix. I don't even any good, So I sent him like tapes, and he goes, he never sang on anything outside Helix, man, ever. And he checked it out and goes, "This is pretty fucking good, man." So I flew him and Linda, his wife, down to Texas, and he was down here like a week and had a little vacation. And he came down, and the guy was so pro, man. We just came in and knocked out the tracks, and I've just been, I could go on for hours and hours and days, and we could do this for weeks. I mean, all the times and moments. I'm blessed, man. I love it, and it's not a job. This is like a lifestyle. I love it. That's why it's gonna be hard for me to even try to. I can't give it up, because it's like in your blood, man. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Tom C?
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to about the music business, one thing that we've noticed with our record label this year, and it started last year, is the pickup of physical sales, CDs and vinyl. I mean, and especially this quarter, I mean, we sold a ton. Are you seeing the same trend? And the second follow-up to that, as you know, in 2025, Ford Motor Company is putting CD players back in their cars, which is going to help us all.
Yeah, I seen that. Like the CDs, since I only did like this year, I really did something I never had a chance to, which I started out with Lost World, and I put a CD out, and around March, April, I geared up to do Battle ID, and it was going to be just like I wasn't going to do anything more the rest of the year because we're going to go all balls out. We brought in Mike Brandvold, which he helped me on my first website years when I first started out, and he went on to work with Kiss and Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, and now he's doing a lot of stuff with Wasp right now, doing all their tours. So having him aboard, Tim Binder, New Ocean Music Group, doing radio, and Jody Glisma, she's doing a radio. So she got us on Alice Cooper's show, we're like number 2 on active, classic rock radio. So I spent like the first time ever for Perris Records, like literally 7 months of work and release. I mean, and they're still got another single coming out, The Face of God, and just worked it. And just the last month, I've been hammering it with my 30-year anniversary has 99 this is the biggest one, 99 artists, because you can only do up to 99 on a CD, MP3s. And that thing, I've sent out hundreds of customers, just people on Facebook groups, and also the CD stores nationwide. Shipped them all up. They're handing them out. They were, through Alliance or Disc Joe, through the Phillips family in Memphis, Sun Records. That's Select the Hits is their name, Select the Hits, but just mass blowing that out. So that's going to start slowing down with the holidays, and then we're going to finish out the year. But basically, the CD sales have definitely, so I didn't have a ton of releases, like 10 releases, when I constantly get I definitely noticed, some bands did better this year than last year. I'm paying some bands right now. So CD sales are picking up. I never did vinyl for loads of reasons. Because if I did one vinyl, even for my band, everybody would want vinyl. And I'm in Texas. And I've got a metal building. You can put CDs out there. But if you put vinyl out there, you're going to go out there, it's going to melt in summer. So I don't even touch vinyl. And a lot of shipping reasons. I deal the Selected family, like my family, man. I've been working with them over 29 years. You get if you ship them out to distribution, they go to Memphis, then they go to LA, then they go to New York, or they go here and there. And then they finally hit the CD stores. If there's any slight damage, they send it back. Because then, if the bent corners, all that stuff. So then you get it back as a return.
Sure. They recharge it back to you. Sure.
If you get charged back, then you ship them out to customers. And you can put it in those cardboard boxes, specially made for it. I just know from experience, all these people I've talked to and deal with it, that it's a pain in the ass, because then people want their money back and they want to ship it back. Oh, God, if you ship it to Europe, the vinyl could be $25, but it costs $45 to ship it. Now, if it gets all the way over there and it's bent in a corner, they want their money back. Then you have to pay another $45 to get it back and refund them $45. It's like, I don't need that nightmare. So people don't realize, they always hit me up. Come on, man, you got to do vinyl. And everybody hounds me. Like, I let the bands do it. They make all the money. Get 100, 200, 500, sell them at their shows. They get their vinyl. They keep all the money. And that made, I think I saved getting a few less gray hairs in my head.
We've been very lucky though. We've been very fortunate with the vinyl. We've had no chargebacks, and we sold hundreds of vinyl this year. We've been very lucky. We had some bands that actually were unknown that we put out in about the 8th of November. One of them sold out. Their pressing sold out.
Yeah, right on, man.
We've been very good about it. It's been very good. So I think physical product, people are getting sick of buying the stuff, and I love the physical experience. I think people are getting back to it. Even younger people are buying CDs are doing fantastic for us too. So I think that it's starting to come back to what it used to be. It's never going to come back to what it was.
Yeah,
albums, but I mean, we're seeing, I can tell you, my band personally sold in the thousands, over 10,000 albums we did off our last album. You know, so we were very, very fortunate with my Held Hostage band.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing with I just never had. I said I didn't have to do vinyl, so I didn't. I did
Yeah.
CDs to stick to that because when you're dealing with distro and all that, it's just like I just stuck with it. Plus, I'm doing 10 bands a year, and hey, if you were 10,000, dude, you should have definitely been on Billboard charts. Then did you guys chart on?
It was. We charted. We had 9 out of 12 songs charted on Billboard.
Right.
We charted. The highest we made was like the top 100. I had Tim Binder work the album for me.
Oh,
cool. And obviously Michael Brandvault works with us, too. He was the Held Hostage publicist for us. He does such an incredible job too, But yeah, I love Michael. So yeah, we've got a lot of mutual friends. I talk to Tim all the time on the phone. Tim's a great guy. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Go ahead, Leith. Do you have anything else, Leith Lex?
No, I'm just kind of taking it in here, listening to everything. And, I was thinking about the whole physical thing that you were talking about. There's nothing like cracking a package open and smelling that fresh ink and paint, on the package, and thumbing through and looking at the artwork and, that kind of stuff. And now it's just like, oh, click, download.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or Spotify, just put it on the phone. There we go. And it's just not the same quality or experience. I totally agree with that.
I mean, I totally miss the experience of going to a record store. It's like you talk to kids, what's a record store? Oh, you used to go to this place where you could actually pick up your music and buy
it. When I was in
Spotify's ruined. I like Spotify, I listen to it. You're my wife, listen to a little if you want to check out. I'm trying to find new bands, but it definitely, it was Napster, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. But I just had boatloads of customers. I mean, I've sold 40, 50,000 customers direct over the years. And one thing I've heard almost 90% of the time is a lot of them got rid of CDs. They don't buy CDs anymore. They listen to Spotify because they make their own playlist, all this crap.
Yeah.
And, still have diehards. Luckily, I have enough, to keep going where, it makes it worthwhile and stuff. So that's cool. But I know it's like the whole, like my nephews, they start doing a little vinyl, but they go, why would I buy a CD for $15 when I can get on Spotify for free? And that sucks, man, because that changed everything, man. When people get it for free, it's like they're not, so that's why all the bands now, the only money is in touring and selling t-shirts. And I've seen boatloads of bands. I've worked with them, and they'll sell $5,000 of shirts and sell 5 CDs. Just if people are they're gonna go buy the shirts because they can go around and have that experience and show it to their friends, but they'll go to the shows, they'll drink their beers. But that's the way it is. Countless bands, they sell more. They got to sell shirts, tons of shirts, 3 or 4 different kinds of shirts, and carry all the sizes. And that's where the money is, playing shows. That's where it's at. That's why they're not going to make money sitting home just making records. That's why a lot of people aren't doing records anymore.
Yeah.
It seems changed. Yeah.
I guess it depends on the band, but I tell you, I recently went to see Alice Cooper. I could not believe every t-shirt they were selling was like $50.
Oh yeah, it's bought. Well, they have to pay the venue. Some of the venues take 25, 50%, 30%. I don't know. It's crazy. They have to give the venue a bunch of money off that too, which that sucks.
Yeah, you work with a lot of great artists and musicians and bands over here, Tom. Perris Records. One guy that I know you did a lot of work with over years was Jizzy Pearl, with Love Hate Band, and then of course you did the LA Guns release that he was on. How surprised are you see that Jay-Z's been in all these 80s bands? He's Quiet Riot. He was in LA.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Like he, really cool guy. And I did, actually after I did signed with LA Guns and dealing with Steve Riley, that then, Jizzy contacted me about he had a solo record, but then he had it. And I go, hey man, let's put out his Love Hate. We'll sell more records. And, because they had the Poison tour. So that worked out great. And it was kind of cool because that Shrinking Violet is one of my top sellers, LA Guns. And even Jizzy did interviews later on. And I know Steve Vai and one of my former bosses at Guitar Center started this label, and they actually reissued that Shrinking Violet. And Jizzy Pearl said, fuck those dudes, basically. I made more money on Perris. Tom sold, I didn't see anything from that. They reissued it, but, I sold a lot of those CDs, man. So that was really cool. Jizzy said that. And I haven't seen him in years, but basically it's just those two releases I did with him was the Love Hate Let's Eat and Shrinking Violet LA Guns.
Shrinking Violet can people get that? Is you said it was reissued, but I was curious. Every once in a while, it kind of goes out of print, and then what's the
I think it's come on. It might have come out in Europe. I'm trying to think some Europe label, some in Japan maybe, but yeah, it's out of print. I've been out of them for years. You know, I had them and I sold a lot of it.
And who decides if they want to reissue the band, or would it be you since you have a label, or?
Well, Tracy Guns or Steve Riley. Steve Riley did all the business of the band before he passed away, and he would probably do deals. It was him. Tracy is more the artist, guitar player, you know. Yeah. Steve Riley did. He was the business cat, you know. So I'm sure he worked out deals on all that stuff.
Well, it's great. It's great talking about the last 30 years of Perris Records. Before you wrap it up today, guys, you have anything else you want to ask Tom?
Yeah, I just your Cherry Street reissue. How did you do with that? I mean, that's just a great album. How did that go? How did that go over again? The reissue?
Well, it depends because we had the self-titled. I reissued also the Squeeze It Dry. Actually reissued, and the newer one was the Twisted Rude Sticky Sweet.
That's what I'm talking about. Twisted Rude.
Okay, yes. What happened is somebody in one of our fans in Japan had put the CD together with all the demo tapes, transferred it. But somebody in Russia had it, and I started having fans contact me, and my buddy Johan in Sweden said he paid $150 for it on eBay. And I was like, what? You know, I looked it up on there and I contacted eBay, and my wife's a lawyer. Unless you just sue them, eBay won't take shit down. They're like stupid. You put something up and say bootleg or anything, and they take it down. But somebody was selling a total like ripoff, you know, pirated CD. And so basically I go, well, the easiest way to get rid of them is I put it out. I had the DAT masters from the studio. I had the original photographs, the 8x10s, glossies. They used flyers, Xerox copy crap, and they scanned it, and they had like the tapes, cassette versions they put on CD. And so I go, well, I'll just put out, reissue it. And that CD's still selling. It's doing kicking ass. Nice. It's almost sold out. And that did great. And just the fans love it because that's the raw, you know, stuff we had before we got a record deal in Hollywood. And we had the three songs on there that was on our tape that we sold like almost 7,000 or 8,000 copies. And that launched our career in LA and had them in Music Plus chain stores, the Tower record chains, and got us distribution through Important Relativity. And so that, you know, it's cool stuff. And we put it out there, and it's cool. The fans love it. I get, you know, emails every day from all over the world. You know, people love it. So
yeah, I want to talk to you. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I was just saying, glad to hear it did well. I figured it was a kick-ass album. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to ask him two more quick things. Another Cherry Street release that I don't know if it was it sold a great deal was, but one you did with Mark Torian, I believe it was called Monroe. What do you remember from making that record?
Yeah, it's basically, that's when I was back in Michigan. You know, I went up there for 3 years, and I don't know, it was supposed to be originally like a solo CD, but then I was talking to all these cats and stuff, and all the former Cherry Street members, different people, and I'd been working with Mark from the Bullet Boys on his Acid Monkey CD. So he was out in LA, and I got him to fly into Michigan, had a studio I was working with. I was like producing bands in Michigan. And so I got him to come in, and he did a couple of tracks on it. And Brian from Union Underground, the singer, he mixed it down for me in San Antonio. He was doing some of my other bands. And so we did that, the Monroe CD. And, you know, it also, like, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Rocks Gang. So Kevin Steele, I had him actually work with me on some songs. He sang 2 tracks on it. And so that was really cool. And that was like the first CD we did, you know, and then Taz, the guitar player, and Kelly, the drummer, came up. So we did that CD, and that's still, you know, still selling. It's cool. People love Dogtown. Kevin Steele wrote the lyrics on that one. And we actually redid that with Jason McMaster and, you know, Brian Vollmer of Helix.
Wow.
We redid that song because it's such a killer song. And those guys switched off on the vocals, Jason and Brian. So that was Dogtown. It was on the Buster Cherry CD we did.
And speaking of Taz and Roxy Chris Vandell, they put out that great Angels of Vain CD. Yeah. I know that took forever to get out, but it finally got out there. And man, that's one of my favorite Perris releases. And I would love to think there's another one down the line, but that's the only thing that band ever puts out. It's killer.
Yeah, well, basically, we were doing all the Cherry Street stuff, and they did these recordings as they went. I go, right now, dude, we got a really good buzz going. So let's, you guys, it's sitting there. They did basically out digitally, like 6 or 7 tracks. But I go, they knocked out a few more. Let's do it. Cause everything was hot. It was right after Cherry Street, had all these releases out. So it was just a timing factor that actually worked out better. I think that they put it out when I did it and stuff. And then Taz actually just got back yesterday. He's actually with Brian Scott and played with Union Underground, just did a whole UK tour. Like half was sold out. And they're doing that big show in Florida. They're playing with Marilyn Manson and Korn, just a boatload of bands down there. So it's kind of cool it's funny how things turn around. Like Brian worked with me, mixed Cherry Street. Now Taz is in his band because he replaced the guy, Patrick Kinnison, which is with Lita Ford now.
Okay.
Lita Ford forever, and does a great job. Awesome guy, man. Totally killer. He sings that Ozzy part to the T, man. It's killer.
Yeah. Tom Mathers, you're a legend in your own time. I'm 30 years of Perris Records. Congratulations, my friend. We were honored to have you here today, and we'd love to have you back. So this is going up, Tom, next Tuesday. I'll send you the link when it goes up. But thanks for doing this today.
Excellent, man.
Thanks, Tom. Good luck, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep. Thanks, buddy.